lines and more, it can be a single space. Okay? And then the default margin is 1.5 inches in the left and 1 inch on the top, on the right, and in the bottom. Okay? Yan. And then, so if you are taking your master's, this would be thesis. No? So in your case, you say a thesis presented to the Center for Graduate Studies, Adventist University of the Philippines. Okay? And then in partial fulfillment, since this is a major requirement for your degree, it is in partial fulfillment of the requirements for the degree. Okay? And then, your name, okay, and the month and year of your estimated graduation, okay? So if you put there March 2026, then that will serve as a motivation that you should be able to finish it on March 2026, okay? And but it can change, of course, after you have already written everything. Okay, probably after your final defense, you will know when is the soonest month and year of your graduation. Okay, and then of course the second page is the approval sheet. No? The approval sheet will be provided by the CGS. Okay, this will be given to you after you have revised your paper according to the recommendations in the final defense. Okay, but you have to, as of now, you have to leave a blank page after the title for the after the title page. Okay, and then the third page is the abstract. Okay, same with the approval sheet. The abstract will be written last. Okay, so you will have to write the abstract after you are done with chapter 5. Now, by the way, the paging for preliminary pages, now we call this one preliminary pages. Okay, as you can see, the title page does not contain any page numbers. Okay, any page number, but the page number will start with the approval sheet. Okay, you can use small, ano yan, small, ano bang tawag dyan? Small Roman numerals, no? Okay, Roman numerals starting from 2, and then of course the abstract. Okay, after the abstract, you will have to write 3 to 5 keywords. Okay, so at least 3 words, no? And then that's page 3, followed by acknowledgements. Okay, please make sure that you use the correct spelling of acknowledgement. No, it does not contain E after G. Okay, and then after acknowledgement is dedication. Okay, this is optional, but you may write this creatively. Okay, and indicate as to whom you are dedicating this study. Okay, and then after the dedication page is of course the table of contents. Okay, in now this is very important. I strongly suggest that you create a table of contents as early as now. Okay, why? Because if you are going to make use of Word, the word the app for Word, there is a command in Word that will automatically create the table of contents for you. Okay? As long as you follow the proper command you are going to use for the headings and subheadings. Okay? Because later on when you are going to make your revisions, it will be very difficult to you for you to do the table of contents manually, especially as when the pages have been changed. Okay, and you have to and in doing the automated table of contents, you are very sure that the pages in the table of contents are reconciled with the actual pages in the manuscript. Okay, maybe later after the class, I'm going to upload the YouTube video of how you are going to do it in Microsoft Word. And so this is the format for the table of contents. Okay, so after the table of contents, we have the list of tables and the list of figures. Okay, and then continuously na yan, no? We have chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. So as you notice, no, we do not have 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. We don't use that one. Okay, we just use the proper format for subheading to indicate that this is a subheading of one variable. This is a subheading of another variable. Okay, and then of course we have chapters 1 to 5. Okay, chapter 2 is review of related literature, and then we have chapter 3. Chapter 3 is the methodology section. Okay, but you are not required to submit it for title defense. What you only need to prepare for title defense are the chapters 1 and 2. Okay, so in chapter 3, you are going to discuss the research design, the population and sampling instrumentation up to data analysis. Okay, actually we are going to discuss each chapter in detail later. No? And then we have chapter 4, the results and discussion. Okay, take note here, no, in chapter 3, by the way, there are times when you may no longer required to do pilot study. So the pilot study is not a necessity there. Okay, if you are doing a qualitative study, the population and sampling section can be subheaded by participants. Okay, for instrumentation, you can use data gathering tools, no? And for qualitative study. And then we have chapter 4, the results and discussion. Okay. And then we have, of course, chapter 5, the summary of findings, conclusion, and recommendations. Okay? Look at the alignment, ha? Look at the alignment. As you notice, if this is under one of the section, there are spaces, no? Yan, I think ito ay around 5 spaces, okay? And then we have the references and the appendices. As you notice, the paging is no longer in Roman numerals, okay? They are already in Arabic. And for chapters 1 to 5, starting with chapter 1, okay, until the CV, the curriculum vitae. And then the list of tables, okay, it is not also a requirement. If you have tables that are fewer than 5, then you do not need the list of tables, okay, as well as the list of figures. Okay, so again, if your tables and figures are less than 5, you do not need this one. Okay, yan. And then let's start with chapter 1. Okay, so chapter 1, according here to do the side comments, the easiest way to manage your space is to make all your text double space all throughout. No, so the manuscript is double space all throughout, starting from writing chapter 1. Okay, yan. So the heading, the major heading of chapter 1 is the problem and its background. Take note of that, ha? The problem and its background. It's not the background of the study. We don't use that anymore. Okay? So, before the first subsection of chapter 1 is going to be a short introduction of the study. Now, remember, during the previous meetings, I told you that this part contains the 4 elements of a good introduction. Okay, the problem, the known, the unknown, and the purpose. Okay, and then you have to make sure that this section is supported by literature. Okay, so you can present if your dependent variable is, for example, retention. Okay, so you can present statistics about retention. Okay, or if your problem variable is about science achievement, then you may present recent results of PISA, okay, or science achievement tests nationally and globally. Okay, and then you present what is already known, what has been conducted previously, and then what is need to be done. Okay, what has not been done yet, that's the gap, no? And then the purpose. Okay, and then the first subsection of chapter 1 is the statement of the problem. Okay, so the statement of the problem actually it starts with the general statement of the whole problem, followed by the sub-problems, into which the specific research questions are identified. Okay? Yan. So, this is the general statement. No? The first part is the general statement, followed by the specific research questions. Okay? Class, this is just an example, ha? So we expect that for a master's thesis, there should be as a minimum of 4 research questions. Now, if you are doing a qualitative study and you are using phenomenology, usually dalawa lang yan, 2 or 3 research question. If you are doing an appreciative inquiry, usually 4 or 5 research questions. Okay? But if you are doing a descriptive correlational study, you have different variables, you should provide descriptive questions for each variable, and then a research question for relationship, a research question for influence. If you are doing a mediation study, then there is a separate research question for mediation, for the mediating variable. Okay? And then after the statement of the problem, the next subsection of chapter 1 is hypothesis. Okay? So here, for qualitative studies, you do not need a hypothesis section. Hindi nyo kailangan yan. So if you are conducting a narrative, a phenomenology, a case study, you don't need this section. Okay? But for quantitative studies, you need to provide a hypothesis for every research question that will use inferential statistics. Okay? So say for example, your research question is there a significant relationship between self-efficacy and achievement? Okay? So the counterpart hypothesis for that research question would be the null hypothesis, which state that there is no significant relationship between self-efficacy and achievement. So that's the hypothesis. Okay? And then after the hypothesis, we have the significance of the study. No? So this study, for this one an example, no? As you can see, there is also a general statement, okay, under the significance of the study. And then after that, you will have to enumerate, okay, each sector that will be benefited from your study. Okay, so for example, in the significance of the study, as you can see, this is bold, no? The first group, okay, each sector now, the subheading is, aside from being bold, it is italicized, okay, or italics, no? So you can see that the working class here example is one of the beneficiaries of the study, okay? And then you have to discuss how this sector will be benefited from the study, okay? What are the benefits and the gains that they can have in your study, okay? One of the common mistakes of students writing their manuscript is they always use a widow paragraph. Okay? Do not do that one, huh? When we say widow paragraph, okay, it's a paragraph with only one sentence. No, this is an example of widow paragraph. So do not do this one. Okay? You have to elaborate. Maybe a paragraph can contain 3 to 5 sentences. No, ideally, that's the number of sentences in a paragraph. Okay, so enumerate, for example, the working class, the government, okay, ano pa ba, the pharmacies, okay, and then the last would be the body of research. Okay, so how will your study give additional ideas or additional knowledge in the area of your study. And then we have, after the significance of the study, we have scope and limitations. Okay, so in the scope of and limitations, you have to include, okay, the scope and limitations of the study includes the perimeters or boundaries of the research, okay? And you have to establish, okay, the other factors, okay, that may limit, okay, the output of your study, no? So the scope and limitations should include, one, the local of the study. So where are you going to conduct it? Where are your participants or respondents coming from? Okay, where are you going to gather data? And then we have the population from which the respondents were selected. Okay, so let's say, for example, the local of your study is Calabarzon, no? So who from the Calabarzon? Is it the middle income earners? Okay, is it the teachers? Okay, yon, that specific population that will be included in the study. Okay, and of course, this the sample, this population should be large enough to make your generalization significant. Okay, and you can also include here the period of the study, which is the time. You can either express it in months or years during which you have gathered the data. Okay, and then the limitations. So the limitations of the study include the weaknesses of the study beyond the control of the researcher. And this is especially true in descriptive research, where the variables involved are unaccountable or continuous variables, okay, such as adequacy, effectiveness, efficiency, and extent. Now remember that usually these are self-assessments, okay, of the respondents. Yan. So that's chapter 1. So I think by now you are ready to write chapter 1. And then write chapter 2. So again, as you can see here, no, this is in title case, okay? The main heading of chapter 2 is review of literature, no? So it's not review of related literature. You are not also going to separate related studies with literature. That was the old format, no? But now, okay, we present our literature in a manner that we start with the dependent variables. Okay? So you start with the dependent variables first, before the independent variables, and then followed by the moderating variables. Okay, so yan yung comment ko kanina. This was my comment earlier. Okay, so remember that a paragraph is composed of at least 2 sentences. Okay, but ideally, just like what I mentioned you earlier, ideally, there should be 3 to 5 sentences. So not too long and not too short. Okay, so start with your dependent variables. Okay, so for example here, the dependent variable here is religiosity, no? And then if your variable has several dimensions, you have to discuss also the different dimensions. Okay, so ito, no, this is the third level subheading. Okay, so it is bold, flash left, and italicize. Okay, so this is usually your subvariable or the dimensions of your main variables. Okay, take note here, there is also a side comment here. When a direct quotation is less than 40 words, it is enclosed in quotation marks and incorporated into the paragraph. Okay, by the way, class, when you send your manuscript to us, please make sure that we don't see these side comments, no? Because many students will just put their contents in this template, okay? That would be very difficult for us because when we put our sub-comments, no, it interfere with the side comments in the template, okay? So you just follow what is given in the template. Yan. And then, there must be at least 2 lines of text under a subheading that falls at the bottom of a page. Again, if 2 lines will not fit, you can move the subheading and text to the next page. Okay, so halimbawa dito, you have a subheading there, a variable or a sub-variable. Okay, If there is only one line, it is advisable that we can proceed, okay, we can move it to the next page, okay? So there should be at least two. And that's very important, okay? So after discussing the dependent variables, you discuss the independent variables, and then, okay, this one. This is the next level subheading. Okay, so as you can see, we are not using the 1.1, 1.2, 1.1.1. We don't use that one, no? Please do not use that one, okay? Kasi if you're going to submit a manuscript to us that is not in proper format, you know, it's very difficult for us. Okay, we look at it with KUs. So you don't put a lot of numbers. By just using the proper format for subheading, we already know as to which belongs to which. Okay, so yeah, this is the next level subheading. You know that confrontative is a sub-variable of problem solving. Okay, yan. And from here, you can also know that problem solving is a sub-variable of coping strategies. Yeah. And then, after presenting the variables, you have to discuss the relationship between the variables. Okay? What is already in the literature? For example, no, you have the relationship between mental health and religiosity. Okay, so what does the literature already know about these two variables? Okay, and then after all the discussions, do not forget this section. This is very unique to us. You have to provide a synthesis or an implication of the study to SDE principles. Okay, and then the theoretical framework, you are going to present theories where your study is anchored, and of course remember to relate them to your study. And then the last section of chapter 4 is the research paradigm. Okay, so this is a sample paradigm for a mediation study. No, if you do not have a mediation study, if it's only the influence of IV to DV, then you don't need these facts. Okay, you don't need the mediating variable facts. Okay, if you have a demographic profile or moderating variables, or what do you call this one? Secondary independent variables, you can have this one. Okay, so figure number. Yan, so these are the common mistakes, no? Okay, so you have to put also a general statement about your research paradigm. So this paradigm shows the relationship of the variables 1, blah, 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 to the variable 1. Okay, so you have to make sure that in your paradigm, you put all your variables and the sub-variables. Okay, so by just looking at the paradigm, you know that religiosity has been measured into different dimensions or indicators. No, we have intellect, ideology, private practice, experience, public practice, and so on and so forth. Okay, so again, do not forget the introductory paragraph. If you have a figure or a table, yan. So after research paradigm, there should be a general statement. And since after research paradigm, you have your figure, you have to introduce the figure. No? So do not just put the figure there. Okay, and let the readers visualize it. You have to describe it. So for example, figure 1 shows the relationship between the variables of the study. Okay, so it shows the study wants to prove that there is the religiosity influence mental health. Okay, and at the same time, the study wants to find out the mediating effect of coping strategies in the relationship between religiosity and mental health. Oh, yan. So you have to introduce it. Okay? The figure number is bold, while the title of the figure is italicized. Okay? And the first words are capitalized. So again, this is title case, no? Except for this connective words, no? Yung mga and, mga in, okay? So those are in small letters. Okay, ay ito pala, the research paradigm is not the last section of chapter 2. The last section of chapter 2 is the definition of terms. Okay, so the definition of terms should be a separate page from the research paradigm. No, so even if your research paradigm page didn't use the whole page, you have to separate this one. Okay, and we have to write it this way. Okay, so every variable and its subvariables should be defined. Okay, as well as the unfamiliar terms. So the definition could be either conceptual or operational. Okay, so when we say conceptual, it is the definition from the literature, and then operational, how will this variable be used in your study? Okay, yan. So you have to enumerate you have to define all the necessary terms and do it in alphabetical order. Okay, so we're done with chapter 2. Now we have chapter 3. Okay, so in chapter 3, this is now the methodology section. Okay, you are going to write chapter 3 after your title defense. But upon conceptualizing your title, you should already have an idea of how you are going to do your study. Okay, that is why if you notice, no, during our discussion when you present your titles, we are already mentioning as to what type of study will it be. Will it be a narrative, a case study, a phenomenology, a mediation study, a predictive study? Okay, because that is very important, no? So in the methodology section, it contains several subsections, just like chapters 1 and 2. It also starts with an introductory paragraph. Okay, each chapter is started by an introductory paragraph except chapter 1. Okay, so the first subsection of the first section of methodology is the research design. Okay, so in this case, you are going to describe the research design, which whether you are going to use quantitative or qualitative or mixed method. But do not stop with that. Okay, after identifying that that is a quantitative study, you have to identify the specific design. Okay. Same with quali. So do not just say here there, this is a qualitative study. You have to identify what type of qualitative study is that. Is that a phenomenological study? And if it's a phenomenological study, you have to identify whether it is descriptive or hermeneutics or transformative, no? Okay, so you have to identify the specific research designs. Okay, you have to describe what type of design is that, and you have to give a justification why it is the chosen design. Why is it the most appropriate design? Okay, and then we have the population and sampling. No, in the population and sampling, you have to discuss the different types of sampling. Okay, when we say sampling, that is the method of selection of your participants. Okay, so when we say population, that's the total population. For example, young adults. Okay, of course, you cannot include every young adults, right? So what you're going to do is to get a sample, a representative of those young adults, okay? And that method of identifying the samples or the member of the sample is called sampling. Okay, so there are also different methods of sampling. We hope to discuss that next meeting. And then instrumentation. So in the instrumentation, you are going to mention all the tools that you are going to use in the study. Okay. So if it's a survey questionnaire, then you have to mention all the sections of the survey questionnaire. Okay. And then if it's a phenomenology, then you have to discuss the phenomenological interview guide. Okay, if it's a narrative, then you have to give a narrative interview guide. Magkakaiba kasi yan. Okay, and then we have pilot study. Okay, pilot study is done to test the consistency of the questionnaire. Okay, in qualitative research, pilot study is conducted if you want to test your capability of asking questions. Okay, say for example, you involve one participant, no? You test the manner of interviewing, the environment, okay? You also test the way how your participant responds, okay? So that if there's a need for you to change the environment, the time, the manner of questioning, then you can do that in the actual study. Okay? So for a quantitative study, actually, according to literature, you need a minimum of 30 participants, respondents for 30 respondents for the pilot study. Okay? After conducting the pilot study, you have to connect with your statistician. She or he will help you determine the consistency of your questionnaire. Okay? And then the next section, subsection of chapter 3 is the data gathering procedure. So this is a step-by-step procedure of collecting data. Okay? And then we have the ethical considerations. Take note, the ethical consideration is not a subsection of data gathering procedure. It's a separate section. Okay? So as you can see, the subheadings have the same format. Okay? So discuss how you are going to get through the ethical research board. No? Make sure that before you collect any data, before you proceed with data collection, you have an approval from the ethics research board. Okay? You have to contact Dr. Giovanni Mercado for that. No? And when you submit the documents, okay, you have to make sure that you follow the instructions, okay? If you visit the website of AUP Research Office, there is a subsection there where you can find all the forms and all the links. But we are going to post that also in our MS Teams, okay? And then the last section of chapter 3 is the data analysis section. Okay, so here we have to mention and discuss the statistical tools that you are going to use for each research question. No? So there are different statistical tools for descriptive statistics, for regression, for correlation, for mediation. No? Same is true with qualitative studies. There are different frameworks for analyzing data. We have thematic analysis, the most common, but you know, if you're going to look at the literature, there are also different frameworks of conducting data analysis. No, si Brown and Clark, the most common, he has 6 steps. Okay, other authors, they only have 5 steps. Okay, yan. So you have to discuss the specific data analysis that you are going to use. Okay? And if you are doing a qualitative study, you also have to discuss the trustworthiness of the results or the data. Okay? Because as you can see, if you remember when we discussed the difference between quanti and quali, in a qualitative research, we need to avoid biases. Okay? So we have to make sure that we get valid, reliable, uh, transferable, confirmable data or results. No? So we use data triangulation, such as member checking, document analysis. No? We will discuss this in detail next time. And then we have, of course, chapter 4. Okay, the main heading for chapter 4 is results and discussion. Okay, so this chapter presents the results. Okay, you have to make sure that when you present results, it should be in a logical order according to your research question. Okay, so this is the first research question. What is the level of religiosity among BPO employees? Okay, do not put your research question here, huh? This should be a subheading in declarative form, not in interrogative form. Okay? And remember, each table and each figure should be introduced. So do not start immediately with the table. Okay? And then, of course, this is the font for table numbers. No? We do not also use table 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. No. We use the continuous numbering, table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4, and so on and so forth. Okay? So just like figure titles, this is also in italics form. Okay. Yeah. I think that is all what you need to know with chapter 4. So in chapter 4, these are usually this usually consists of tables and figures. Now with the data, no? By the way, introduction of the table of the figure, followed by the table, and then continuation of the discussion. Do not forget to support it with literature. Okay? So whether it is supported by the previous studies or being contradicted by the previous studies, you have to present them here. Okay? After the discussion. And then, of course, we are now in the last chapter. Yeah, okay, we have chapter 5, no? Chapter 5 contains the summary of findings, conclusion, and recommendations. Okay, so again, there is an introductory part. Okay, again, do not use a widow paragraph. This is a widow paragraph, so do not do this one. Okay, the first section of chapter 5 is summary of findings, no? So the summary of findings is a mini chapter 4. Mini chapter 4. Okay? You have to present the summary of your results for each research question. Okay? So just like chapter 4, this is also written in a logical order. So the summary of the findings should be written accordingly to the results of each research question. Okay, and same sequence, no? And then conclusion. Okay, so this is a sample conclusion, no? And then, of course, the last section is the recommendations. So you have to enumerate your recommendations based on the major findings of your study. Okay? Be careful with this one, ha? During final defense, no, many students would recommend not based on their study, based on their literature and based on their opinion. So when we ask them, what supports your recommendation, or where is this recommendation coming from? They will say, it's from our own opinion, ma'am. Do not do that. No, it should be based on your major findings. Okay. So the recommendations may be coming also from the limitations of your study. Okay. And in your recommendations also, your recommendations may be fitted to the beneficiaries that you have mentioned in your chapter 1. Okay, so when you are writing your recommendations, you go back to your major findings and you go back to the people or the sectors that you have mentioned under your significance of the study. Okay, and of course, we have the reference list. Yan. Do you know that this is one of our most difficult work in the research office? You know, when students submit their paper for publication, there's a lot in the references, okay? But when we look at their paper, those people mentioned, those authors mentioned in the reference list do not even exist in the manuscript. Okay? And there are times when the authors mentioned in the manuscript are not in the reference list. So please, okay, as early as now, you have to make your reference list. Okay? Every time you cite an author, you have to make sure that he or she is listed in the reference list. And do not put any author here that is not mentioned in your manuscript. Okay? So you have to reconcile that one. You know, when you are going to publish in a referred or Scopus journal, this is very important. Okay? And there are times when your paper is rejected if they find out that there is a big discrepancy with the reference list and in the in-text citation. So that's very, very important. Huh? Please always reconcile. And always arrange it alphabetically. In the reference list, this is already single space. Okay? With in entries and double space between. Okay? And then you have to follow the proper way of referencing books, journal articles, newspapers, and published materials. Okay, I think this will be discussed by Dr. Jalili later, no, in our next class time. Okay, so how do you the referencing? But you know, you can find a lot of referencing tool online, and they are free. Okay, we have Scriber, Scriber, yeah, that's one. Okay, you can just copy the URL, paste it, and then it automatically generates the reference format. Okay, and the citation as well. So we have to refer to the 7 APA guidelines in referencing. That's very important, no? After the references are the appendices. Okay. In the appendices, you are going to put your research instrument. Okay, so if it's a survey questionnaire, then you are going to put there your survey questionnaire. Okay, you are also going to put the validation tool. Okay, di ba? After constructing your questionnaire, you will ask experts to comment and suggest for improvement of your survey questionnaire. Okay, so you have to ask for their signature. Okay, then you also have to put there proofs of data gathering. Okay, so if you have conducted a survey online, no, you can put screenshots of, yeah, of the Microsoft Excel format of the responses, no. Remember that if you're going to use a Google form, the time when the respondents answered the form is indicated there. So do not remove that one, no, because that is a good proof that you have really conducted a survey. Okay? If you are doing an experiment, you can take pictures. If you are doing an interview, okay, if it's online, probably you can take a screenshot, but make sure that you hide, okay, you hide the identity of your participants. Or you ask permission that you are going to include that in the appendices. Yan. Okay? But most of the time, the ethics will advise you to hide their identity. So do not forget to take pictures. That's very important. Do not forget to do an audit trail of your procedure. Okay, what else? The line item budget. No, the line item budget is actually part of the proposal. What are you going to purchase, what will be your expenses, okay? And then we have the Gantt chart. Okay, the Gantt chart is the timeline. Okay, so each steps that you are going to take, you have to put the time there. Okay, so look at it in a positive manner, no? If you put there December 2025, then as much as possible, you do that activity on December 2025. Okay, if you plan to have your proposal on October 2025, so start preparing your chapters 1 and 2 so that you can be scheduled for title defense. By the way, like